Hey, welcome to Cooking with Kenny G. Now, I am super excited. On today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a bison and grilled vegetable lasagna. It is unbelievable, and have a look at this here. This is what I'm going to show you how to make. You got to make sure you stick around at the end too, because I'm going to show you the patented, it's patented now, patented chef it up presentation. Hey, let's put on the apron, grab the knives, fire up the stove, and get after it. Bison is a fantastic meat. It is very low in saturated fats, almost 5 times lower than ground beef. It has a higher protein count in it, which makes it a lot better for you. And by law in the US and in Canada, believe it or not, they do not allow growth hormones or antibiotics to be used when raising bison. Makes it a whole lot cleaner. It's higher in omega fatty acids. It's gonna make you look good in a bathing suit if you eat bison over ground beef. All right, like all my other videos, you know how this works. I'm gonna run you through the equipment so you can get all that ready before. Again, less mess, less stress, as long as you got all your mise en place together. That fancy French word, mise en place, everything in its place. It's just a culinary term, but you know, I like to throw it out there so you guys are gonna use those culinary terms. Hopefully you are anyway. And then all the ingredients that you're gonna need for this bison lasagna. All right, so let's run you through the equipment that you're gonna need. I've got a fairly big pot. It's about 5 liters here. Now this is just for cooking the bison and then putting in the tomato sauce to cook that. You're gonna need a fairly big bowl here. This is just to put all the vegetables in to marinate them before you grill them up. We're gonna need a garlic press here for pressing the garlic. A 9x13 casserole dish. Does not have to be glass. I just like the look of glass when you take it out of the oven. If you have people there, it's kind of that, woo, look at that, wow factor. Knife, I think I may have said that. The blue scraper for scraping things. A mandolin, now this would be for cutting the zucchini. I'll show you that process anyway. And then also a spoon. That's it for the equipment. Now for all the ingredients that you're gonna need. 1 pound of lean ground bison. I've got 300 grams of shredded mozzarella and cheddar cheese mix blend. I've got 500 grams of cottage cheese here. Now the reason that I use cottage cheese rather than ricotta, you can use ricotta if you want, is a lot cheaper. And also with this recipe, because I'm using the ready-to-bake lasagna sheets. They actually draw a lot of moisture in. You're gonna need some olive oil. That's just for marinating the vegetables. Now I've got here also 4 ounces or about 100 grams of grated Parmesan cheese. This is a Reggiano cheese. Now don't worry, I will be putting the recipe in the link down below, and I'll also put it in the video so you can see, so don't worry too much or don't stress too much about writing stuff down. I have the ready-to-bake lasagna sheets. I have about 12 here. I might use a little bit less, a little bit more, it depends, but for a 9x13, you need about 2/3 of a box. I have some spinach leaves here. I've got zucchini. Remember, wash all your vegetables before. You never know who touched them or what happened. I have 3 bell peppers here, and I've got 1 clove of garlic, and that's all you're gonna need for the ingredients. So let's get this party started. Now with this recipe, rather than just using raw vegetables in there that really don't have a lot of flavor, we are going to grill the vegetables. It is gonna increase a lot of the flavor that's in these. So let's get this going. Like I said, make sure you wash all your vegetables first. The zucchini, just cut the ends off of it. Let's get the recycling bin there. Always wanna save the environment. Mandolin. Now with your mandolin, depends on what you have, or you can slice it with a knife, I guess, but I like to use a mandolin. It's just a lot easier. Put it on the slice setting and then just press the zucchini through. Watch your fingers. There we go. Now the reason I do these in long strips is for the barbecue. Now just get those in the bowl. With the peppers, just take your knife, put the flat side down, just cut down one side, and then cut down the other side. And then what that does is it just, well, you cut the pepper, all the seeds stay inside. They don't get all over your cutting board. I hate having all those seeds all over the cutting board. Again, just cut down one side, cut down the other. There we go. Look at that. Super fast, super efficient. Again, that leaves you with a nice piece of pepper that you can grill. It's all about efficiency here. I want to make this very easy for you. That's it. Now, 1 clove of garlic in there. Now it's time to season up these vegetables, get some flavoring in there. Now I'm just gonna put in oregano. There's gonna be a lot of flavor in that tomato sauce. Got the garlic in there, pepper, and some olive oil in there. Just mix those around. So I got the grill warming up, so when these go on, we'll be able to grill. And then after these are grilled, then I can get going on the meat sauce. I like to get the vegetables done first, because when the sauce is made, then I can just throw everything together really quick. Don't have to mess around. All right, let's get out to the grill. The grill is nice and hot. I had that warming up while I was getting all the vegetables ready. I mentioned I cut the peppers quite large. The reason for that, I don't want them to fall through the grill. I like to get the peppers going first because they take a little bit longer than the zucchini. You're gonna close that down and let those cook slightly. Oh, I wish you could smell this now. I could smell the garlic and the oregano as these are grilling. So let's have a little look here. Just get nice little grill marks there on the peppers. All right, close that down and we're gonna give that a couple more minutes and it's time to do the zucchini. All right, that's been about 2 minutes now. Let's get these zucchini strips on here. These aren't gonna take very long now. Basically, I'm just gonna put them on there. Once they're all on, then start flipping them back over again. Now see the way these are cut, makes it a lot easier for grilling too. Nice and long strips, they don't fall through the barbecue. Otherwise, by the end of barbecue season, it's gonna be full of vegetables on the bottom of your barbecue. What a fantastic day for grilling, huh? Absolutely beautiful today. Flip these guys over maybe one more time. They're looking beautiful, getting those nice grill marks on there. Again, that's just caramelizing the sugars in there and increasing the flavors, which is what we want to do. Obviously, we're back in the kitchen now, but I'm gonna get that bison on the burner now. I'm gonna bring you a little bit closer so you can watch the process. Got my pan nice and hot. Now I'm gonna put about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in here, or about 30 mils. Now this bison is super lean, and like I said, it's really low in fat. So you gotta add a little bit more fat in there to cook it, but not a whole lot. So it's gonna take away the benefits of using this. Now I'm just gonna let that brown nicely on the bottom. I'm gonna let the sugars caramelize in that and let the flavors concentrate and increase. Now it's been browning a little bit. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make sure I break up all those little meatballs that are in there. I don't want meatballs, I want ground bison meat in there. So just gonna get the spoon in there, break those up, and then let them cook a little bit more. You're gonna wanna make sure that the bison is fully cooked before you add anything into it too. Now remember, food safety never takes a holiday. So we want to make sure we get that up to about 175 temperature-wise. Now that's Fahrenheit, not Celsius too. It's more of an eyeball thing too. You don't want any color in there at all, any red. When the bison is fully cooked now, it's time to add in the tomato sauce. Now if you look up here, that's where your recipe is going to be for that rich tomato sauce, or if you want, you can use a canned one, but you're here to learn how to cook. I'm not being judgy, but I am here to teach you how to cook. At least I hope I am. If you follow that rich tomato sauce, you know what ingredients go in there. You're not getting a bunch of preservatives and chemicals in there. So let's add that tomato sauce in now. Now the only thing different with this recipe is I put an immersion blender or a hand blender in there just to blend it up a little bit. That recipe that I did post in there, that video that you are gonna watch, I hope. That one's more of a chunky style, but I wanted this one a little more pureed just for the recipe itself. We're gonna cook this bison bolognese up. Here's another word for you, bolognese, which is actually a French term of an Italian term. I don't actually know the Italian word, but I know the French word. Any Italian people out there, you could message me and tell me what it is. Just gonna give that a little taste now. Make sure we're on the right track, but that sauce is well seasoned, so we should be on the right track. If it does need any seasoning, you can adjust it here. I'm gonna add a little bit more salt. Try not to get tomato sauce all over you. I'm gonna let that cook for about 15-20 minutes just to get all the flavors incorporated inside. The sauce is already cooked and the bison's already cooked, so I don't have to cook this for a long period of time. So I just want to incorporate those flavors well into the sauce. So it's been about 20 minutes now while that sauce is cooking. That just gave me the opportunity to clean the kitchen up and make it look real pretty for you. So Let's get the sauce here. We're gonna start assembling. Ridiculous blue gloves. Again, I love these things. Gonna put a link down below. They're fantastic. Absolutely love them. I'm gonna start with a little bit of that, just the plain tomato sauce down at the bottom. Now what that'll do is that it kind of helps the noodles from sticking to the bottom, and I want to save the meat sauce for in the middle part of it. Just get the sauce down there. Now put your lasagna sheets in there. I guess they're lasagna noodles. We're gonna go 3 on the bottom there. Now we're gonna use some of that beautiful Bison bolognese. Put a good layer on there. Now I didn't mention, if you are gonna make this up ahead of time and not cook it right away, you should cool all the ingredients and then you can put it together when it's cold. That way you won't run the risk of maybe having a little bit of contamination from a meat sauce that doesn't cool down completely. Before you start the assembly, get your oven preheating. I like to cook it nice and slow, not too hot. 300 is perfect. Now you can just lay in the grilled vegetables. That almost looks like I know what I'm doing. They fit perfectly across the width of the casserole dish here. So get a nice layer of those in there. Get some of those peppers in there. Just lay them in nicely. You don't have to cut these up because after it cooks and then when it sets and you cut it, you can cut right through the cooked peppers. This just makes it much quicker. Cut that one to fit in there. Perfect. Now I'm gonna put a layer of raw spinach in there. I don't cook the spinach up ahead of time. This is just a lot easier to do it this way. And when the lasagna cooks, it cooks the spinach out nicely. What you're gonna wanna do when you do this too is probably put a little bit of salt and pepper in there, just to help out with the flavor of those vegetables. Now just lightly press down that spinach there. Gonna put a layer of cheese. Again, you can add more or less if you want, and some of that cottage cheese in there too. Again, you can use ricotta if you want. Ricotta is a bit drier. Like I explained earlier though, those lasagna sheets, they're gonna absorb a lot of the moisture. You just spread that out. Use your spatula if you want. Get it into the corners. Don't be shy to press it down. Another layer of lasagna on there. Now with this dish, because it's curved at the bottom, as it gets up a little bit higher, I gotta add a little bit more lasagna sheets in there, just to make sure that we got good coverage. All right, press that down. Beautiful. Another layer of the Bison bolognese in there. It's gonna be a gorgeous lasagna. Super full of protein, lots of flavor in this, very healthy. Got your vegetables in there too. There's your food guide portion of vegetables for your dinner. If you want to, you can serve it with a salad or something. Another layer of vegetables. Now make sure you stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to show you a chef it up presentation. And chefing it up is just going to make it that much better for your guests too. There we go, a layer of spinach in there now too. Layer of spinach on top. Now that spinach is just going to collapse down, it'll flatten out too. Maybe just a little sprinkle of cheese in there. Last little bit of the cottage cheese. If you want, you can add a little more cottage cheese in there. Now let's put the last of the pasta on. I'm going to go this way and try and cover it up. Switch it up a little bit. Use up all these little bits of lasagna that I have, the little sheets left over, like a puzzle. Top it off with a little bit more sauce. Cover all those noodles up nicely. Now this thing looks like it's super full, but trust me, as it cooks, it's going to expand a little bit more, but it is going to be covered. I'll show you how to do that. And then when it cools and sets down, it's going to actually flatten down into the pan. I guess flatten's not the right word. Then it'll actually retract down a little bit more into the pan. Now, if you don't have enough sauce, I got a little bit more of that tomato sauce. Put that over the top. Just make sure those noodles are covered. There we go. Finish it off with the cheese now. Now that Parmesan cheese on top. Now I like to use the hard Reggiano or Grana Padano if you want. Try to stay away from those powdered cheeses if you can. Reason for that is there's actually a lot of milk powder in it too, so that's the way to stretch it. This way, if you use the real cheese, you know what you're getting. We're finished. Just gonna cover this up, throw it in the oven. I'm not gonna throw it in the oven, I'm gonna place it in the oven. And I'm gonna let that cook for a couple of hours, okay? So, I'll show you how I cover it up. I got a little tip to tell you about as I do it too. Now, here's the tip. Put a little bit of parchment over the top with a little bit of pan spray. Now, the reason for that is cheese won't stick to it. And with the tin foil on there, what happens a lot of times is the acids from the tomato sauce, they actually will, it's not the right term, but it'll eat through the tin foil. So it puts little pinpricks in the tin foil, and then you get the tin foil down on your cheese. So this little tip here is going to keep that tin foil from contacting any of the acid in that tomato sauce or the cheese. You spend a lot of time on this and it looks absolutely beautiful. You don't want to mess it up by having little tin foil in your cheese. Try and get that tin foil nice and tight too, and that way it'll keep a lot of the juices from coming over the edges. I'm going to put that in the oven for about 2 hours. I'm going to check it after 2 hours anyway. Just make sure the lasagna noodles are nice and soft. Put it on a sheet pan here. Again, if any does come over, at least it'll catch it. Not going to make your oven super dirty and then you have to clean the oven or you'll be cursing me out. So there we go, in the oven, and I'll see you in a couple hours. Elapsed time, it'll be the next cut. Well, it's been a little 2 hours, a little bit over 2 hours anyway. The lasagna is ready. I have it out of the oven. I've turned the oven up to 375. I'm going to take the tin foil off now and then peel off the parchment paper, and then it's going to go back in the oven just to brown it up so it looks super sexy. I did test it with a thermometer and I got it up to about 175, 180 degrees. That way I know it was like fully cooked all the way through. That is looking fantastic. Now, if you want, you just take a little cloth maybe, and if you've got edges or handles on this, you can just wipe them off, because that will go in the oven and it'll kind of bake it on and make it look kind of nasty. So it's more for appearance than anything else. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. But I'm always thinking appearance. It's always about you eat with your eyes first. It's going back in the oven. I'm just going to brown the top of it. It's fully cooked now. It is looking absolutely epic. So let's get the bison lasagna back in the oven. Probably in about 10 minutes or so. I'll bring it out. We're just going to let it rest for a little bit and then plate it up, do the chef it up presentation, and we're finished. It's been 10 minutes now. I'm going to bring this lasagna out and then you can have a look at it, see how beautiful it is. Oh, look at that. Woo-hoo. That is a beautiful lasagna. Very proud of this one. Now, I'm not going to cut this yet. I'm going to let it rest again. I know you guys have been very, very patient, but it's all the process. If I cut it too soon, all those juices that are in there, they're just gonna leak out. So I'm gonna let it kind of set a little bit. The juices will absorb back in, and then I'm gonna cut it and do a chef it up presentation. Now it is time for the aforementioned patented chef it up presentation. I'm gonna make it look pretty for you. It's been resting now for maybe 10 minutes or so. A lot of those juices that were bubbling around the edges have now gone back into the lasagna. Cut it into as big as you want. This pan was 9 by 13, so I'm not good at maths. I'm just gonna cut it into some nice sized pieces. I'll cut one a little bit bigger just for the presentation. Now I'm not gonna eat this much of it. Here's where the chef it up presentation comes in. Got a little bit of that tomato sauce from earlier. I'm gonna put that down on the plate. Put it right in the middle. Spread it out with your spoon. Lasagna's gonna go right on top of that there. That looks beautiful as it is, but let's take this to the next level. A little bit of Parmesan cheese on there. Oh yeah, maybe we can do a nice cinematic slow-mo on that. That looks beautiful. And then what else are we gonna use? A little bit of chopped parsley, because why? Parsley is cheap and it makes everything look good. You wanna take it to the next level, over the level, you can put maybe a couple dots of sour cream on there. We'll go for all the quadrants here. How about a little piece of fresh oregano on the top? This is absolutely gorgeous. Show you that chef it up presentation there. Look at that. Bison lasagna, finito. Thanks so much for watching. Now, I hope you learned something. It wasn't too difficult to make a bison lasagna with grilled vegetables. I ran you through all the steps. The most time that it's going to take, obviously, is just oven cooking time. Other than that, the prep time is not too bad at all. It is something you can make up ahead of time too. You can either freeze it or you can put it in the fridge and then throw it in the oven. Make sure you give it a little bit more time though than the 2 hours, because if it's fully cold in the middle, it's going to take a little bit longer. Low temperature to reheat it. There it is. Gorgeous chef it up presentation. Now, if you want to add anything to it, like maybe a Caesar salad or a garlic bread, go ahead, enjoy your bison lasagna, and I hope you make it. Now leave some comments down below. If you enjoyed it too, give it a thumbs up. Enjoy that bison lasagna. Looking good. It's probably super hot. Chef's kiss. Thanks again. See you soon.